Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic, a more laid-back, kind of relaxed version of the show, if you will.
Sure.
Where all we're just going to do is just chat about a couple of things, and mostly just hearing from you guys and the things that you guys want to talk about. I'm joined, of course, by Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
John, it's a great pleasure to be here, as always. I love hearing back from our viewers and just shooting the heck.
The proverbial heck,
with
stuff. And guys, it is great to have you guys here as we're here to talk about some stuff. So basically, obviously, what we're mostly going to do here is talk primarily about the things you want to talk about. We're going to talk about the issues you sent in via our super chats. Now, of course, our super chats do fill up quick, so they're already closed. You guys filled them all up before we even started the show today. So we'll get to those in a second. But before we get to those, Rob, I thought we would talk a little bit about, one of the issues we touched on this morning, which was, of course, Avatar is being re-released this weekend.
Right.
And we found out that Avatar, the re-release, which has already started its re-release in some other territories, the audiences are coming out and saying that they're showing scenes of the new Avatar, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, which, of course, is probably going to get some more people excited. Amy raised a really good point on the show this morning, though, when she mentioned that, if somebody's going to be motivated and excited to go to the theater to see Avatar, the re-release, just because they're going to see some of the new scenes from Way of Water, they're probably going to see Avatar anyway.
Right.
And that was a very, very good point that she raised. But, an audience member written in this morning, and they asked, do we think that Avatar, the re-release, can take the #1 spot at the box office this weekend? Now, it is, of course, opening up against the new Olivia Wilde film, Don't Worry, Darling, which has way more people talking about the off-camera drama than actually talking about the movie itself, and that's never a good thing. It's also going to be on Woman King's second weekend of release. So they asked the question, could Avatar be #1 at the box office? And there are two answers to that. In the question of could it could. I mean, you got extra scenes being shown. This is the #1 box office film of all time. The reality is there's nothing like big or blockbustery opening up against it. And it's been a while since something big and blockbustery.
Right.
So there could be a lot of people who just haven't been to the movies in a while and are like kind of itching to get out to see something. And maybe Avatar provides that for them. So it's got all of that working in its favor. So it could. But then the other question, I think the more important question, not so much is could it be #1 at the box office? The question is, will it be #1 at the box office? And I just think the answer to that is no. I do see they're projecting right now that Don't Worry, Darling could make it in the neighborhood of 20 million. And if it does, I don't think Avatar can get there. I don't see Avatar making more than 15, to be honest. And it could make 4 or 5, which would be fine for a re-release. So, I've thought about it more this afternoon, like since the main show today, and I'm going to stay on my thought that while I agree it could, there is a possibility it could sneak up there and take the #1 spot. I'm going to go, again, if my feet are to the fire and I got to say yes, it will or no, it won't, I'm going to say no, it won't, but who knows, but I'm going to go with no, it won't. Rob, you've had a few hours to think about this question. We talked about a lot of the variables. Where are you sitting on this Avatar thing right now?
I'm going to have to agree with you, sir. I'm going to say probably not. Look, it is a re-release. Although, look, Amy also said something that struck me. She's never seen Avatar. And there's probably, being that the film is now 13 years old, there may be a bunch of people who have. Yeah, and I was thinking, okay, like even if you're a big film fan, let's say you were 10 or 15, 13 years ago. You couldn't just hop in a car. You couldn't really get an Uber. We didn't have that. So a lot of moviegoers that are big, avid moviegoers now in their late 20s to maybe 30, never saw Avatar in the theater. And the thing about, to me, I've always maintained, I talked about it a little this morning, seeing Avatar in IMAX 3D is, like you say, an experiential event. There's nothing else like it. I mean, I would say of all the movies I've ever seen in my life, seeing IMAX in Avatar 3D, seeing Avatar in IMAX 3D was a singular experience. I mean, it's the best 3D I've ever seen by a wide margin. I mean, it was designed to be seen. It
really, it absolutely is the best 3D presentation
ever. And seeing it now that it's been upgraded into 4K, because before it was finished in 2K. So that's another reason to see it. I'm sure that it's even more of an experience.
High dynamic range.
The images are going to be crisper. I can't even imagine. I'm really looking forward to seeing it in IMAX 3D. So I think, I mean, it's a re-release. When was the last time a re-release was the #1 film at the box office? Was it Endgame? But I mean, I don't know. But I just think that Don't Worry, Darling with Harry Styles, even some of the controversy, people are going to go. I do think that Don't Worry, Darling is probably going to be the #1 film. And if it isn't, maybe the Woman King will, because it's getting a lot of press. I've been hearing a lot about it in the news and on NPR, and a lot of analysis going on. I think it's going to do very well its second weekend. I would imagine, if I were to guess, Avatar coming in maybe third.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's where too. But I mean, there is the possibility of a surprise.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's the great thing about the box office, and just to see what's going to transpire and happen there. Again, it's the biggest movie of all time. See, I wouldn't even count something like Endgame, because Endgame was never really re-released.
Right.
When a movie is back out in theaters before you've even had time to take your shoes off, that's not a re-release. Right? Like, I don't even consider Spider-Man No Way Home a re-release.
Right.
Like, it was like, if it was just in theaters, it's just you decided, change our minds, let's put it back in. Something like Jaws, that's a re-release. Avatar 13 years later, that's a re-release. So I don't even know if I count those other ones. I mean, look, I probably believe that as a true re-release, Star Wars Special Editions.
Yeah.
Star Wars, I believe, and guys in the live chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Star Wars Special Edition, which even though it's called the Special Editions, I would qualify those as re-releases.
I would too.
I believe those did take #1 at the box office.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right.
So there was that. But I'm going to say, aside from the Star Wars re-release, I think this is going to be the biggest re-release of all time, aside from the Star Wars one.
Could very well be.
But I still don't think it's going to beat Don't Worry, Darling.
No.
All right, guys. Anyway, question for you. What do you think? I mean, we've thought about it a bunch more since this morning. A few thoughts have come to mind. What do you think now? Do you now think that Avatar being re-released in theaters this weekend, I think it's going to do very well for a re-release, but I don't see it hitting $20 million. Maybe you do. Whatever you guys think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to move into your live questions. That's what we're going to do for the whole balance of the show here. Now, before we get to those, though, we're going to take a second and thank a major sponsor of our whole YouTube channel, the good folks over at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of the retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. And guys, I have been using Mint Mobile for months now, and I could not be more thrilled with the service. I also couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that my phone bill now is literally 1/3 of what it used to be with my previous major carrier. All plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for being a sponsor of our shows and for being a terrific mobile service provider for me. All right, guys, that being said, let's get into your super chats that you guys have been sending in. Rob, what do we got in there?
Let's see, John. Richard K sends in a super chat and says, best rapper turned actor, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, Common, Tupac, Ice-T, LL Cool J, Common again, or any others you can think of.
No, it's Common. I think it's Common, and I think it's Common by a wide margin. Now, some of the names on that list have done some pretty good work. I myself am kind of preferential towards LL Cool J.
I'm a big LL Cool J.
Rock the Bells. So, yeah, I really like LL Cool J, but Common, no, I'll be honest with you. I don't even look at him as a rapper turned actor anymore. I look at him as an actor. He legitimately, when he is on screen, you don't look at him and think, hey, he's doing a pretty good job for somebody who's not primarily an actor. He fits right in every movie he appears in. He is a legit actor, in my opinion. So I'm going to say Common by a wide margin. What do you think?
I think you're probably right. I mean, look, I do like Ice Cube a lot. You know,
I love Ice Cube.
I do, and I do love Ice-T a lot, all the way back to New Jack City. And who was at the end of Chris Rock's movie? Was it Nas who was in jail at the end? It was what was the name of that movie? It's not 50 Shades of Grey, but that it was something like that, and it was Chris Rock directed, and he was hilarious. But it was only
the name of the movie was the name of his rap group, and I can't remember the name of it now.
I don't.
But you know, there's a name that's not on the list, which should be Will Smith.
Yeah. I mean, if we did have him on the list, I would put him.
That the Academy Award winner is the one, but since he wasn't on that list, the
Fresh Prince. Yeah, I'll agree.
All right, what's next?
Jason Bryden says the problem with She-Hulk is the MCU itself. It's been a quote comedy since the first Avengers, with few exceptions. She-Hulk just happens to be low stakes.
No, Jason, that's not the problem. Low stakes is not the problem. The problem is it's not funny.
Right.
Like the thing that makes for all the people who want to cry and bellyache about the fact that the MCU incorporates humor, why do you think they're the biggest films of all time? Franchise-wise. Why do you think that they have 9, 10 of their movies are in the $1 billion club? Why do you think their movies average $1 billion per hour? Because they're incredibly entertaining. They've always known how to find that line between, when it gets too heavy, insert humor. When it gets too humorous, insert heavy. There have been a couple of times that they've mixed up that proper measurement. Thor: Love and Thunder is an example of that.
Ant-Man. But the first Ant-Man has a lot of humor.
Yeah, that's a lot, but I don't think that was misbalanced. I think that was perfect for what it was.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
It was extremely, extremely funny. So the problem with She-Hulk is not that it's a comedy. It's not that there's no stakes. I've argued for a long time that actually one of the problems of the MCU is the exact opposite, is that sometimes every single project that comes out feels like save the world, save the universe, world's in peril, galaxy's in peril, everything is like Jen. It's like you've got to start shifting gears. And like sometimes like Ant-Man, like when Ant-Man came out, it was a perfect timing for it because the MCU needed a movie to shift gears and be save my family.
Yeah.
And then maybe save the community center, save the city, then maybe save the world. But sometimes like everything with Marvel, like even Miss Marvel, and I love that show, but it was like, it felt like one of those really good change of gears. And then they threw in that one episode and then with what was it, the Clandestines? Not the Clandestines. What was the name of the group again?
I don't remember.
I can't remember the name, what they were called either in it, but
they were clandestine.
Right. But it's like, oh, so their thing is going to destroy the world.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So, okay, we're
going to shift our world.
The whole world's in danger every time. They need to change it. So again, for me, the problem is not lack of stakes. The stakes are perfect. The problem is it's not funny. It's a comedy that's not funny. And that, to me, is my issue. Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right. By the way, and they finally put in a fight scene, and it was a terrible fight scene.
Terrible.
Bring up that image again. Like, they finally break that up. It's like, okay, we're going to get a fight. And it was like, okay, well, that was lame. Oh, whatever.
That's She-Hulk whenever anyone says she's not funny.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
John Redcorn says, did you know Drake is an exec producer on Amsterdam?
If it is, it's in name only. I mean, listen, the thing about producer and executive producer, well, not producer, but the thing about executive producer and co-producer and and associate producers, those titles can be given out like candy on Halloween. Like you arranged a phone call between somebody, producer credit.
Or he might have arranged for financing of some kind.
He might have helped with some finance. I mean, it depends. It's like there's a million different things. Like sometimes a guy can be named an executive producer and they literally worked 14 hours a day for 3 years to get a movie made. And then somebody else literally could have set up a phone call with somebody important and they get an executive producer credit too. I really hope the movie industry figures out a way to codify that, to codify about this is what you have to be able to do at minimum to get a producer credit.
Agreed.
Because it causes confusion. All right, what's next?
Jeffrey Lindenblatt says, so the end of She-Hulk is going to be the leader gets her blood while the Hulk is away, and then the story will continue in Captain America 4.
I don't buy it. I don't see the She-Hulk show. I think the She-Hulk show, by design, is meant to be very self-contained.
Yeah.
And so I don't see any major repercussions to the MCU as a whole coming out as a result of She-Hulk. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, maybe, but I just don't see. If anything, they're going to create what? Are they going to create a whole army of Hulks? I don't know, but I think you're right. Although it might have some repercussions later, but for the most part, I think you're probably right.
And by the way, I was going to bring that image up again there. So I was going to bring this up. You notice, of course, the name of the person at the other end is Hulk King. So, I mean, at first, when that came up, I had to pause, rewind, and play it again because I thought for a second it might have said Hulkling.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
right. I thought for a second it might have said Hulkling, but no, it's Hulk King. So I don't know if that would be the leader or not. I mean, I think whatever it is probably going to be very self-contained to just the show. But
I agree.
We'll find out. All right, what's next?
Sith Loud says, yo, I'm just really excited about seeing 18 episodes of Daredevil. I've been a huge fan, and I'm excited to see where they take him. I've been going back and reading like crazy. He's always been one of my favorite Marvel characters.
And by the way, he sent in like $20. Thank you for that, man. Very, very much. Here's my one bit of nervousness about it. And it's not, they're going to lighten him up. Well, no, I think Daredevil will be fine if they lighten him up. It's all fine. My kind of worry, though, is I really did think if you had bet me $20 before seeing Andor, I would have bet Andor was going to be an hour-long show. I just felt like it was going to be the type of show that could and should be maybe an hour long, right? And the fact that it is also like a half-hour show, yet these half hours feel much more satisfying than a lot of the other half-hour stuff they do. I was really hoping that Daredevil was going to be 18 hour-long episodes. I now don't believe Disney Plus has any intention ever of making hour-long episodes. Now, listen, that still means the Daredevil series is going to be significantly longer than most of their other stuff.
Sure.
And that's good. But once I saw that Andor was also averaging around the 30, 35-minute mark, it's like, all right, well, Daredevil's going to be that too. So like instead of like 16 hours of Daredevil storytelling, we're going to get 8. And whatever, that's fine as long as it's good, because Andor is fantastic.
Yeah.
So as long as it's good, it's good. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think you might be right. My big problem with all these shows is they don't seem like they're episodic shows. They seem like they're long movies cut into parts. And I never feel like you watch an episode of House of the Dragon. It's an episode.
Yeah.
You feel like, okay, it's satisfying. It might end on a cliffhanger or time jump or whatever. I feel I had a full meal. I think with all these Marvel shows, they all are short. When they end, you're like, wait, what? You don't feel like, it doesn't feel like a normal episode of television because it doesn't take you on a television episode arc. Like with Andor too, it just ends. Like, you're like, wait, what? Like somebody's literally walking off and then it cuts to black, and the only reason I knew the episode was over is because it cuts to black. I'm like waiting for like something's gonna come up, and then I'm wondering then the credits come up because they leave a really long amount of black on Andor before the credit comes up, and I'm like, maybe it'll go somewhere else. No.
We'll see what happens. All right, but I am excited for Daredevil. I'm very excited
me
for
too.
Daredevil. All right, what's next?
It's gonna be great. Dante Shred.
We're gonna go to Tim Platt. He has a two-parter.
I see. So I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again. Love that show. And I couldn't help but think that this is what I was hoping She-Hulk to be like. Dan. Do you think She-Hulk would have been better received if it wasn't billed as being a sitcom?
No, I mean, honestly, I think if it wasn't billed as being a sitcom, I think people would be even more upset with it because the nature of it is. I honestly think that the very fact that they were very, very clear that this is a sitcom, then it helps you tune your brain a little bit for watching it. And again, I think in premise, I think the show is a great premise. I think it's a terrific concept. I love the performance of Tatiana Maslany. The only problem for me is that it is not funny. That's it. I like everything else about this show, except it's not funny. And if you're not going to be funny as a comedy, I can't keep watching.
I like the idea of making it like Brooklyn Nine-Nine because Brooklyn Nine-Nine's funny.
I never got into Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Ann did. Ann really liked it. I watched a few episodes. It didn't quite click for me, but even though I love Andy Samberg, I love him and Lonely Island and everything. But so I would have thought I would have loved that one, but it didn't quite work for me. All right, what's next?
Dante Srecha says, big weekend. Don't worry, darling, Saturday, Avatar Sunday, and Poltergeist Monday. Love you guys. Bring on the filthy.
Are they re-releasing Poltergeist?
Well, it might be in theaters. They just re-released a new 4K version of the film. It is I mean, they remastered it. It's unbelievable. Because that film, even on home video, has always been a bit grainy.
Right.
And this new transfer is stunning. It's like watching a movie that was shot yesterday.
It was funny watching Light and Magic. There's a whole section in there where they talk just about doing the effects on Poltergeist, particularly the effect with the house. And I'm like watching that, I was like, my God, these guys are magicians.
And they were magicians. And the fact that they figured that out, what a wacky thing to do, but it looks great on camera.
Oh, looks so good. All right, especially for the time. Yeah. All right, what's next?
40 years old. Dangerous Lee says, it's all subjective, but I want to know, what's that one film you feel is genuinely misunderstood? My pick is Peter Jackson's The Lovely Bones.
I've never thought of The Lovely Bones as being a misunderstood film. You know what? I'm trying to remember the movie. I remember I had big arguments about it with people online, and I cannot put my finger on which movie it was. But there was a movie that I basically had the exact same impression of as I did with The Last of Us 2, which a lot of people like complain about The Last of Us 2, and I'm like, I think a lot of people don't get it. The Last of Us 2 is an allegory of what happens to people who are in pain. Even the best of us, what pain can do to you and what pain does. And there was a movie that I remember having a lot of debate with people of that I applied that same thing to, but I cannot remember what the movie was. But that pain affects you, pain alters you, pain molds you, pain changes you. And that's one of the things I loved about Last of Us 2 was that you take even heroic characters, and then when unspeakable pain is applied, it will change you. And there was another movie, and I cannot remember what that movie was. I can't, but that's I know. Do you have a movie that you generally see as misunderstood besides the first Star Trek movie?
Touche. I don't think misunderstood. I don't necessarily think misunderstood. I can't really think of one right now. I mean, there's so many movies that I like that not a lot of other people like.
That doesn't mean, but I know what you mean, right? But that doesn't mean they misunderstood it.
I don't know if
they didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't know if people have misunderstood movies. I can't think of one really.
All right, what's next?
I'll come up with one like tonight in bed. Oh, that was one. Calvin Severo Ponho says, last question for today. Not every day I can be here live. With Matt Shakman as director for Fantastic Four, he's not a huge name that's worth asking for John Watts to step aside. Any other reason for the departure?
Well, I mean, the one thing that I 100% do not believe was the reason for the departure was the BS reason they gave. Oh, he just needs a break. So I'm going to go from a Marvel film to a Star Wars film.
Yeah,
to a Star Wars project, to a Star Wars project.
That he conceived of.
No, that was complete BS. I mean, so it leaves with a couple of possibilities. One possibility was that maybe he and Kevin Feige just weren't creatively on the same page with what to do with Fantastic Four. And that's a possibility. I mean, they certainly did. If that is the case, they certainly caught it well in advance and were able to make a change. And he was able to shift over and do something else with Disney, and all is good in the world. It could be that, the opportunity for a Star Wars project came up, and that just might have been more appealing to John Watts at the time. It's like, you know what? Like, again, this thing, I need a break. I don't buy that. But maybe it was like, you know what? Not every day a director gets an opportunity to direct an official Star Wars thing. And that may have been really good. And that might have had a lot of serendipity with the fact that after WandaVision, people have been lining up to get Shankman on their stuff. And that might have just been very fortuitous. So it's like, you know what? Matt's been really looking for a bigger project of ours to sink his teeth into, and we want to work with him. And if you're feeling like you want to move over to Star Wars and they want you there right now, this might be a really advantageous move. Again, the only reason I think it's off the table is the official one they gave, which is, I just need a break from comp. I never bought that at all.
I don't think it's that either, but I think in a way he did want a break. He spent 6 years of his life making Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as simple as like, I want to do something else. I don't want to spend a decade of my life stuck working on Marvel films which are essentially the same kind of thing. And directors want to branch out. They want to do other things. And if he had a chance, I think he was one of the architects of the story of whatever Skeleton Crew turns out to be. So I can see he might have just been as simple as saying, look, I'm just burned out. I can't go on from a movie like No Way Home to a Fantastic Four film. I mean, that's and the pressure there too to perform.
Well, yeah, but if you're looking for a lower pressure environment, you don't step into a Star Wars.
No,
project.
but I think that because he was probably more creatively invested, and because I don't know. I mean, I just would like to believe that he just really needed a break from Marvel.
Yeah, I don't buy that. But here's another thing
No, he's just tired of making superhero movies.
Name a director who has made a great superhero film and a great Star Wars project. I don't think there is one.
No, there probably isn't.
If John Watt can come out of those 3 very good Spider-Man films and go over and make a Andor level Star Wars show, that makes him incredibly unique in the world. That is a prestige that no other director anywhere can say they've done, really.
Well, no.
And I think that might have been part of the appeal for him.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think you nailed it. I mean, once you've done 3 Spider-Man movies and the third one's No Way Home, there's nowhere, even if you go do the best Fantastic Four movie in the world, but you go over and do a Star Wars show. Not only that, it's a television show. So now you've proven you can work in episodic TV and make one of the biggest movies ever made.
And you can handle the 2 biggest franchises in the history of the entertainment industry.
That's career.
I mean, like literally, John Watt does that. He's punching his own ticket and writing his own checks.
And I think that's why he did it.
Yeah, it might be. All right, great question, man. All right, what's next?
Calvin Severo Panjo says, hey, John, in the D23 news, there was casting for the Spiderwick Chronicles series. Like you, I don't care if the actor's race is the same as the character, but something bothered me with the casting for the 2 brothers. They're supposed to be 9-year-old identical twins, but Disney Plus cast 2 not even brothers and they're 15. Why go so against the original books?
Because who cares? There's
a third party. It's important in the books that they're twins, and I can't believe a 15-year-old would believe in magic and fantasy. Thanks, and I love the show. Oh, wait, is there a last question?
Oh, no, that's
it.
Okay.
I listen, the books are the books, the movies are the movies, whether they change a character's height, change a character's hair color, change a character's gender, change a character's profession, you make adaptation, because look, I go back to this every time. The number one job, and people hate it when I say this, but it's 1,000% true. The number one job of a filmmaker or TV show maker is not to be as faithful to the source material as possible. That is not their job. Their job is to make the best product possible. And if you feel that we can do something really interesting if we make this change, does that change fundamentally alter our story? If the answer to that is no, then go ahead and make that change, because again, at the end of the day, you're not going to be judged by history, by the fans, or by your studio on whether or not you stayed really true to the source material. You're not going to be judged by anybody on that. You're going to be judged by all of them on what was the end result. How good was that thing you put together? And, to a lesser extent, how successful was it? So I'm okay with it. And to be honest, I've never read the Spiderwick Chronicles. And I think most people are like me. Most people haven't read them, so I really don't care. And I think they know that their audience, most of the audience won't care. So again, Rob, winning cures everything. If they make this and it's great, nobody's going to care. No. If they make it and it's terrible, then it's going to be one of the things that everybody points to, because winning cures everything, losing gives you every disease in the book. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think about, we were talking about Shawshank Redemption earlier today, one of the best movies ever made.
Which took some liberties from the original story of Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman's character is black. Red in the book is not.
Nope.
If that movie had come out today, you'd have a million different YouTube shows going, oh, they changed the race of a character. But most people who haven't read the story cannot imagine anyone else in the role of Red except Morgan Freeman.
And I certainly can't.
Morgan Freeman is indelible in that role. One of the greatest casting choices in the history of movies.
Which there's a little wink and kind of acknowledgement of the reality, because there's a line in the movie where what is it they ask him?
He says, "Why do they call you Red?"
He says, "I don't know, because I'm Irish."
Maybe because I'm Irish.
Which, of course, was kind of also like a little wink to the change that they made from the book.
Because they just right out of the book, and in that movie, you're going to fit right in. No one would ever in that movie, like we've said earlier, it's perfect. It's a perfect movie.
It also reminds me a lot. That's such a great example of like whenever there are some people. There are some of the darker, more low-life corners of YouTube that whenever an actor is cast in a role that maybe that role had been white before, whatever, saying, well, why not give it to the best actor possible instead of somebody who says they didn't?
Right.
When you look at Morgan Freeman as Red in Shawshank Redemption, which I consider to be in the discussion of the greatest movie ever made, and you look at that, and that's the thing, like people just assume, like, okay, so you're assuming that because it's not a white actor, you just make the assumption it can't possibly have been the best actor for the choice. It's just, anyway, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Damn, that's a good movie.
So
CJ
good.
Rebirth says, do you think we'll see the wizard Shazam in Black Adam since he told Billy Batson that Adam was chosen as the first champion?
Well, listen, the wizard Shazam, played by the great Jaimon Hansu, who I can never get enough of this guy. And by the way, he's in everything. Like he plays multiple characters in the DCEU. Because he's one of those underwater kingdom kings that gets killed. He's in Shazam. He's in the MCU. He's all over the place. Anyway,
Who?
Yeah, who? One of the greatest lines ever in the MCU. But we already have the connection between him and Black Adam because in the first Shazam movie, he talks about how they made the mistake of choosing Black Adam to bestow their power on. And we didn't see The Rock, but we saw the image of The Rock.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it has that in it.
I would not be surprised at all if he pops up in it. And it would make sense. You know what? I go one step further. It almost doesn't make sense if he doesn't pop up.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's so intertwined that if the Wizard Shazam is still out there and Black Adam returns, it would almost make no sense if he doesn't make an appearance. So yeah. I'm gonna guess that he does.
I think he probably does.
And that'll be what ties the franchises together later.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
I agree. Suthius says, Knock at the Cabin. Ah, yes. Everyone's worst nightmare. A movie about Jehovah's Witnesses trying to spread the word of their Savior and convert you. Laugh out loud. Well, Suthius,
Is that the big twist that M. Night has at the end of this movie?
No.
Do you have a moment to talk to us about our organization? Yeah, no. I mean, look, I'll admit that the trailer did look a little bit like, what's the one horror movie that was out like 8 years ago? The Strangers. Yeah. It did feel a little bit like The Strangers, although they introduce a totally different concept.
Yeah, it's different.
Your family is the linchpin of whether or not the apocalypse comes.
I haven't seen this artwork. That artwork is perfect.
You know, that also really reminds me of Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
The artwork of Cabin in the Woods.
Very different story.
Yes.
But those implements
that looks pretty cool, though.
A big part of the tale.
All right, what's next?
Sleek Saber says, what has been one of your most recent favorite opening title sequences for a television show in terms of visuals? Severance is up there for me.
I've said this before. I am not a fan of the modern television opening sequences. It's all the same. It's like some more subdued, like gone are the days of really punchy theme music for a show, right? It's all this kind of subdued thing with abstract art. Like I think like with Westworld, it was the coming together of the strings.
Yeah.
In Rings of Power and others, it's like grains of sand. Even Daredevil, I love the show Daredevil.
Sure.
I was not a fan. It's all the same. It's all the same. The only opening title sequence for a television show that matters is Peacemaker. That's it. Nothing else matters. It's simply, this is the greatest opening to television show in television history. I didn't think anything could beat the Airwolf opening. I didn't think maybe anything could beat the A-Team opening. This is it. Nothing else matters. I don't know. Do you have a
You know what? I got to tell you, it's so stupid. Maybe I really like the House of the Dragon opening sequence.
See, but that's a theme music that's really up there.
Yeah, but I think that
it tells a story.
Yeah, the sigils, the houses that are rising and falling, and the blood. I just like it, and I like the music.
Yeah, and it's very, very, because like I said, a lot of the other TV opening themes now are like this subdued kind of like, I don't know.
And it's all the imagery, all the imagery over the credits, whether it's black and white or sepia toned or something like, like Blackbird. I watched the Apple series Blackbird. It has a great opening sequence, but it's looks like every other opening sequence. They're really well done, but they're all kind of the same idea.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Corey Frazier says, "Hey crew, love all the content."
By the way, put in like $20. Thank you, Corey Frazier. Appreciate that, man.
That's very nice of you, Corey. Hey crew, love all the content that is provided. Thanks for all you do. My question is, with Rings of Power being a slow burning series to some people's disapproval, what are some of your expectations for episode 5 tonight?
All right. And this, I know people really don't like it when I say this, but this is the absolute truth. A couple of years ago, I made the decision that I was getting out of the business of deciding what I want to see tonight, or what, like for movies, about what do I want them to do with this movie? Or what do I want to see tonight? And I've just decided that that's just a recipe for setting yourself up for whatever. So I decided that, what I want to see? Whatever it is they've got to show me. I want to go into the John Campea Show theater tonight, stretch out on that sofa, have some snacks, couple of drinks, and I just want to go, show me what you got. Entertain me tonight. But I will speak in terms of structure. I want to see the pace continue to increase. I want to see them do more of what I've seen in episodes 3 and 4, because like I said last week, that episode 4 now is finally this show starting to look like the show I had been looking forward to. Because, this is my number one most anticipated show, and it has not lived up to that for me.
Right.
And to a degree, episode 3, definitely episode 4 is this show becoming that kind of show. So I think better pace. I'd like to see whatever concepts they want to make the cornerstones of their story, bring those more into focus. So as long as they continue to do that, I'll be happy. If they start getting more abstract and falling back more into the slow burn is fine. Slow burn is fine. I've said this before, Rob, there is a difference between a slow burn and slow. There's a difference. They're not the same thing. A slow burn still has a cadence to it. A slow burn says, we're feeding you a little bit, but we're doing it at this pace, whatever. Slow is just slow. It's like, nothing's happening. That's a different thing. And I just don't want to see them go back to that. But I don't know. Do you have anything in particular you're looking for in this?
Yeah, I want that dark elf to kill Galadriel and destroy Numenor. How about that? That isn't going to happen, but that's what I want to see.
Numenor does get destroyed.
It does not yet.
Not yet, though.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right. What's next?
I just love that dark elf. Dad Jokes sent in a $5 super chat. My issue with Miss Marvel. Kamala wants to go to Avengers Con and Mom is overprotective and says no. Then Kamala becomes a superhero and Mom approves?
No, that's looking at it way too linearly. Listen, they're two completely separate issues, right? One is a typical teenager parent thing. Teenager wants to do. I had these issues.
Study. I want you to study.
Yeah, I don't want you to go out to that party, or I don't want you to go whatever. Things. And then the kid sneaks out and does it, and the mom look, that's standard. Finding out that your daughter has the power of the gods and is going to use that to help people. I mean, that is a separate issue altogether. I'd like to believe that if my mom and dad had discovered, like, I'd snuck out to a thing and they, whatever, okay. But if my mom and dad later found out that, I don't know, had the powers of Spider-Man, I had supernatural strength and all this kind of stuff, and they found out I was using this ability I had to try to help people, I'd like to think that my mom and dad, even a strict Italian, would have been, that's my boy. I would like to think that's the case. So to me, that's not an issue at all. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
No, I completely agree with you. One thing has got nothing to do with the other. It's a whole different situation. And if you have the power of the gods, you've done something right. So I don't have to worry about you sneaking out going to Avengers Con anymore.
Yeah, and by the way, also, if my parents had found out I was bulletproof, they probably wouldn't mind me going to a late night football game, because what's going to happen?
Right.
It's a different thing.
Some fool comes at you, you come at them.
Let him. Let him. It'll be fun to watch. All right, what's next?
Suthius says, for once, a genuine, reasonable, level-headed guy who likes Jen for Jen. Go on, my Asian brother. Hoping he becomes a recurring character in the show.
This is one of the things I don't like about She-Hulk, is that She-Hulk has become this media darling, right? And the idea that first of all, men everywhere would be throwing themselves at her, right? Part two, the notion that Tatiana Maslany, one of the sexiest women on the planet, with a law degree, is a lawyer, makes her own cash, all that kind of stuff, she's smart, she's got her life together, she's incredibly beautiful and attractive, she's kind and smart and funny. I'm sorry, without She-Hulk, men are lining up around the building to be with this girl. The fact that, there's finally a man that actually likes her. It's like, I'm sorry. That part is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I totally agree. And who's to say that Asian brother is not bad? Like, could be nefarious.
Could be. I hope they don't, because that's the stereotype, is to the guy that finally shows interest.
Right.
They end up being a mwahaha.
And he did seem like a nice guy. I liked him. And you are at a wedding. If you're single at a wedding, who's going to hook up with who? It's kind of, it's a wedding thing. I liked it. I liked him.
I liked him too. I didn't like the episode overall. No. I didn't think it was funny. No. But I liked him.
And they just didn't do much with it. I would like to have seen it go somewhere else. I mean,
well, again, they had 24 minutes to do something. Only so much you could do in an episode.
I know, that's true.
All right.
I still don't understand why Taney is at the wedding, but okay. Daniel Vakura says, I saw The Woman King, which was really good. Lashana Lynch and Viola Davis crush it. Out of the movies I saw recently, I'd rank 1, See How They Run, 2, The Woman King, 3, Hockeyland, that's that documentary,
right.
4, Barbarian, and I really liked the last 40 minutes. Yeah, there's some great stuff out there. Everyone loves See How They Run, and we love that trailer. Other whodunit.
I was still shocked when I found out that it even came out.
I know,
like that,
because there's no marketing.
No, that's look. You want a really good, obvious thing that you have dropped the ball in your marketing. People who cover the industry every day and are always looking for announcements like this, and we didn't know it was actually coming out.
It's Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell, and these are two actors that are favorites of people.
What is she? Is she like a 4-time Oscar nominee?
Yeah, something like that.
And he's an Oscar winner. And the trailer looked fantastic. I don't even know where to see this thing right now. And I've been dying to see this since the trailer came out. Look how good Sam Rockwell looks in that. And by the way, Saoirse Ronan looks so funny in this.
She looks so funny.
Like, so funny. You're under arrest. It's like, no, like, that's so good. I want to see this so bad.
I know.
All right, what's next?
Jay Master sends in a super chat and says, 27 years ago today, in 1995, David Fincher's Seven released in theaters with a $33 million budget and a box office of $337.25 million.
My God, was that 27 years?
Dude.
3 years from now, it'll be its 30th anniversary. Listen, here's the funny thing. I am not as big of a Seven fan as most people. Don't get me wrong. John doesn't like, I like Seven. I like that movie quite a bit. Like, but it was out around that's the same vein as, say, something like Usual Suspects.
Yeah, they were, yes.
And what would be another one? I don't want to say Along Came a Spider, but something else along.
Kiss the Girls?
Was it Kiss the Girls was another one. I think Along Came a Spider. Yeah. Which to me, Usual Suspects is a top 10 movie of all time for me. That's one of the films in my top 10 of all time. Lower on the top 10 list, but in my top 10 list. And so I always look at Seven as the other movie, which maybe isn't the right way to look at it, but I've always enjoyed it. But I can't believe that's 27 years.
27 years. Yeah, it's, that Usual Suspects was the first screenplay I read professionally when I was being paid to read screenplays that I said yes to. You're never supposed to say yes. You're supposed to say like no, maybe, or recommend. And I said, no, yes. I said yes. And I had to like beg my boss. I'm like, you have to read.
Who were you doing coverage for at that
Joel
time?
Silver.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's when you were doing the
Silver Pictures. And it took 5 years after I read that script for it to get made, because if you watch the special features, nobody wanted to make the movie with the ending that was written. And Fincher got that movie made. Fincher said, and it took him because he had directed Alien 3, and it was a horrible experience for him. And he didn't make a movie for 5 years. And Seven was his second movie. It was his return back to Hollywood after being disgraced on Alien 3. And so in that movie, he fought for that ending. They tried everything, and he's like, no, I'm making this movie with this ending.
So I was actually offered there. I'm not going to name the studio. I'll tell you. You might already know. I might have already told you, but if not, I'll tell you after. I was approached by a studio. I got invited in. I met with the CEO, and they were interested. They were really interested in the whole online world with everything, right? So they offered me a gig to, in a way, do coverage, but the idea was they wanted somebody like me who interacts with other movie fans all day.
Right.
Like I've got my finger on the pulse of the movie fan community, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way they saw it. And they want to know if I'd be interested in not being the first guy, but taking the ones their initial readers would do and would pass on.
Right.
And they wanted me to read those ones and then give notes on how I think the audience, like the ones that I know
smart,
anyway.
Though. That's smart.
Would do it. I ultimately turned it down because they really weren't going to pay much for it at all.
Yeah.
So I ultimately turned it down, but I thought, whenever I retire from doing this, that's a job I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't mind going and working for some producer or some studio and doing that.
Yeah, at least you'd have a filter. Reading screenplays was one of the worst things in the world.
I can only imagine being the first line, having to read all the ones that come in. There must have been so many
of them were bad. There was an agent who's now a producer named Gavin Pallone, and he worked at a place called Bauer Benedict at the time. Everything he sent was good. And I said, just let me read everything that comes from Gavin Pallone. And that script came from Gavin Pallone. And I mean, I read that script twice. When I got to the end, I literally was like seeing the movie. I'm like, no. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God. And then I went back and read it again.
All right, what's next?
That happened once in my entire life. Joshua McGregor says, I never knew about Jeffrey Dahmer. After seeing reviews from the Netflix show, I did my research. I am quite horrified, but intrigued. Depending on how in-depth they go, I'm not sure I can stomach it. Your thoughts? Bring on the filthy. Let me tell you. So that, first of all, I mean, come on. Our boy Quicksilver or
Ralph Boner.
Ralph Boner. Apparently, this show, he looks incredible in this role. Evan Peters just looks amazing. If you really are, there is an interview. I don't remember who it's with. I want to say Stone. I think it's Stone Phillips. Stone Phillips does an interview that I actually watched yesterday. I'd never seen this. It's on YouTube. Stone Phillips interviews Jeffrey Dahmer and his father. It's like a half an hour long. It is chilling.
I've never seen that.
Oh my! I watched it last night, and Evan Peters looks like he's knocked it out of the park playing Dahmer. It's dropped on Netflix, so it's available now. Our viewers did the research and is freaked out.
I mean,
dude,
Evan Peters. Let's talk about him for a second. So, most people take their first notice of him in Kick-Ass. He's like a sidekick character with Aaron Taylor Johnson, right? And you would think that Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to be the one to go on this huge career, and maybe this other kid will get some stuff. And Aaron Taylor Johnson has turned into a really fun actor to watch. I just saw him in Bullet Train.
Yeah, he's great.
Savages. He's great. But Evan Peters,
dude,
is evolving into a legit world-class actor. And I'm really excited to see what he can do with this role.
I mean, this can't be a pleasant. There was the independent film, my best friend Dahmer,
right,
about the high school years, which is actually a pretty good movie. But this looks chilling. But watch the Stone Phillips interview with Dahmer first. Because the only reason I found it was because Evan Peters was being interviewed, and he said, I watched that interview. Like, that was the basis of how he came up with his portrayal of the character. Man, it is. Because what Jeffrey Dahmer did was horrifying. Like, some of the most horrifying. I mean, even hearing him in his own words talk about what he did, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
All right, what's next?
That was pleasant. Suthius says, I did enjoy Mr. Immortal, though. He was also the mayor's lackey in Boba Fett. He was. Is it fascinating to me that he has powers, but is just a Joe Schmo with a troubled past of marriages, not a hero or a villain?
I have no problem with that because he's doing what I think most people would. I think if most regular people found out they had some kind of power, they would find the way to make their life the life they want.
Right.
He has become very rich, gets to move from person to person, whatever man or woman he wants, and he gets to live his life like that. And that is how I believe 95% of real people, if they suddenly had those types of powers, I think that's how they would actually
I totally agree with you. You know what? You're not going to go save the world. That was something else I'd like them to have leaned into in She-Hulk, the way Banner suggests doing that. And she's like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to save the world.
All right. What's next?
Great actor, though. Mike's Movie Madness says, hey, John and company, if the Oscars were tomorrow, what noms do you give Everything Everywhere All at Once? What would they get? And what do you think it would get come Oscar time?
It's impossible to say what it will or won't get at Oscar time because we have not seen so many of the films that it'll be in competition against. So that takes that out. As far as Everything Everywhere, for me, direction, lead actress, best supporting actor, best supporting actress.
Screenplay.
For the daughter. Best screenplay, editing, like definitely editing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are the ones that come to mind for me. I mean, I don't think the music was fine. The music was good. Nothing wrong with that. The sound design and sound editing don't particularly stand out to me.
Right.
There were some visual effects in it, but nothing mind-blowing. But yeah, obviously Michelle Yeoh, her daughter who was in Shang-Chi.
Right.
For best supporting actress. Short round because I can never remember his name.
Hey Q Kwan.
For best supporting actor, and obviously best picture and best direction. I don't know. So that's what I would give it.
I would agree
if it were tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
This one time at band camp says, ready for Don't Worry, Darling, and Darling, I'm worried.
Yeah. Again, it is not fair. I'm not saying it's fair. It's not fair. It's totally unfair that I feel this way. But I am now at a place because of all the behind the scenes drama. I'm more interested in going into it the way you're interested in looking at the car crash on the highway in the opposite direction, right? Like I'm more morbidly curious now. And you know, it sucks because when you go back and watch Booksmart, you can tell that isn't the work of a director who got lucky doing what. That is a wonderfully crafted movie that I adore. And I want to see Olivia Wilde succeed. But I'm not hearing great things about it, and all the behind the scenes drama and nonsense is not great.
Look, I'm going to go see it because, I mean, it looks like a beautifully crafted film. I'm curious to see what it's all about. I mean, I know it's just that subject matter appeals to me, whatever dystopian weirdness is going on there. But I'm pulling for it. But like you said, all this needless drama.
That's how I feel about it right now.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Fangblaze71 says, I love Jeremy Renner as the new Bond.
They'll never have an American be Bond.
No.
That's the one thing I don't think the Broccoli's would ever allow. Asian Bond, sure. Black Bond, sure. Younger, older, taller, shorter, brown hair, white hair, blue-eyed, brown-eyed, sure.
Gotta be Brit.
American, I don't think they're ever going to let it happen.
No.
I don't think they will.
Me neither.
All right, what's next?
All right, so there's a few that the activity feed did not load, but I have them on my screen if you want me to try and read them for you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to try and read better than allegedly Leah Michelle reads. So we have a $20 super chat from Jay Master. It says, Letitia Wright said during an interview while promoting Black Panther 2, she said after production was done on the first Black Panther, she saw Chadwick give Ryan Coogler a push to move on to do the sequel without him if he ever needed to.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, he knew he was sick.
I mean,
He knew he was ill.
I mean, look, the official word that is out there is that nobody knew that Chadwick Boseman was sick until after they announced he was died. I have been on record and I will be on record again. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that Kevin Feige or anybody has to come out and admit that. I don't believe it. But I don't believe for a second when you look at the integrity of a guy like Chadwick Boseman, that Boseman never let the people who were going to be very, very much professionally affected by, what his health situation was. I don't believe for a second that Chadwick Boseman didn't sit down and then when he knew that they had to know and let them know. So I've never believed that for a second. So yeah, I could totally see something like that being something.
100%.
All right, what else we got there?
All right, from Attack of the Mushi. Hey, thoughts on Alex Ross's F4 Full Circle, Rob?
I'll tell you, I cracked it open. I'm looking at it. It's gorgeous. I have not started reading yet. It's got a really cool fold out in the front. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love it, but I have not read it yet. But I flipped through it and it looks great.
All right, what's next?
All right, from Daniel Vasquez, we have Little Mermaid and Across the Spider-Verse 2 are opening a week apart from each other. Which film do you think will get affected the most or needs to move?
Ooh.
I don't see them as being really for the same demographic. I mean, I think they can both be perfectly fine where they are. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to have, and let's remember, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was not $1 billion film.
Right.
It did pretty well, but it was not $1 billion film. So I don't see Little Mermaid suffering a lot from that opening up the next week, because I think, families with young kids or children, yeah, there's going to be some appeal for that with Spider-Man as well. But Little Mermaid's a different kind of thing. So I think they'll both be okay. I don't know, Rob, what do you think?
I completely agree with you because, and look, everyone's going to go see both of those movies now. Across the Spider-Verse, now you've got how Into the Spider-Verse has become everyone's favorite Spider-Man movie. You've had years of everybody watching it. Everyone's going to go see that film. And everyone loves Little Mermaid. And I think everybody's going to go see those movies. Especially because, I mean, Halle Berry, she melts my heart when I see that shot of her singing.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks great. All right, what do we got next?
All right, from Richard K, it says, did you ever see the Roger Moore show called The Saint? It was brought back as Return
Val
of the
Kilmer's
Saint in the 70s with Ian Olagovy. I loved The Saint and wondered if you think we could get a TV or movie reboot.
Well, they did do a movie reboot with Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue,
which is pretty good.
Yeah, that actually wasn't bad.
I liked it.
Not an all-time memorable one.
No, it had a great soundtrack too of music, of British.
Yeah, but when you look at the nature of the show and you see what's hot, that is when you could go back and visit that property again.
I would love to see it be a British show, and because it could be very good. I'd love to see a reboot of The Saint.
All right, what's next?
This one time at Bandcamp says, imagine getting ready for Regal's mystery R-rated 2-hour and 20-minute movie only to find out it's Lyle Crocodile. Hashtag Ticket Watch 2022. Hashtag Reaction Watch 2022.
Yeah, I think they might have written in last week to mention they were going to a secret screening and they were hoping it was going to be Black Adam. And it's like, and I love the idea of the secret screening. That's kind of a fun idea, but it is playing roulette. Because you might get Black Adam. Hell, you might get Black Panther. Or you might get Lyle Crocodile. I mean, so that's the risk you're taking. And hey, listen, I don't know. Maybe this movie's great. I thought the trailers were terrible. But maybe the movie's awesome. I don't know.
Draw me like one of your French crocodiles.
Yes.
Oh, no. Too soon.
All right. What do we got next?
From Joshua McGregor, who sends in a $10 super chat. John, you cultivated a community that appreciates people's opinions, whether we agree or disagree. Even if you or Rob don't like the last 3 episodes of She-Hulk, we'd still watch.
I mean, yeah, listen, one of the things I really want to have is that, listen, if you don't like something I like, that's all right. I have people tell me all the time, I finally watched the original Star Wars and I didn't like it. Oh man, that sucks. Oh well, I wish you liked it, but you don't. That's fine. Or people who love things that I don't like. It's like, great, I celebrate that you like it. I mean, that's the whole thing. If you don't fundamentally understand the subjectivity of film, if you don't fundamentally understand that people may get something out of a film because of who they are, the nature of the type of people they are, the background that they have, whatever. If you don't understand that they may get something out of a film that you didn't, then you don't understand film. If you don't understand that just because the way you are, that something had a great impact on you, that it may not have that same impact on other people, then you just don't understand film. This whole notion of, like, if you don't like something that I like, you either didn't get it or whatever. If somebody likes something you don't, well, then you're just a sellout or you're just like whatever. Like that's an indicator to me that I'm talking to a stupid person. That is just right off the bat an indicator that I'm talking to somebody who's stupid. You got to be able to fundamentally understand that. And not only understand that, but you got to be able to celebrate it. That art in all of its forms is going to positively impact somebody. And you got to not only be willing to say that's a good thing that happens, but you got to love that happens for somebody else. And I think most of the people who watch our channel get that and understand that. And I think that's why it's wonderful that we can do that. Now, that's a different thing though, because to me, after shows are meant to be a celebration of that show where it's like, hey, everybody, we're doing an after show of X show. And I think the assumption, understandably so, is that, well, yeah, this is going to be a place we all get together and celebrate that show and talk about, some of the things that didn't work for us, but celebrate the fact that we love the show. And so that's why, like halfway through season 3 of Arrow, I killed my Arrow after show because I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And if I'm now at a point where I realize, you know what, I love that people are appreciating She-Hulk, but it's not working for me. And if I can't host a party and celebrate that party with everybody, then I don't see a lot of need for me to throw a party. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I'm with you 100%. I take no pleasure in not liking shows. Even when it comes to like modern Star Trek. You think I don't want to love Star Trek? I want to love She-Hulk. I thought this week's episode, of all the episodes, I've enjoyed the show. This week's episode, I really didn't enjoy, like on a number of levels. And this is I don't, to go on, people are tuning into our after shows to celebrate their own enthusiasm.
Yeah. Which is great. That's what you want.
And we don't want to then just rain on their parade.
Yeah, that's no fun. We don't want to yuck on people's, like, I don't want to invite people to a She-Hulk party and then now I'm going to spend the next hour telling you why this wasn't any good. It's like, and so if I can't be like honest and
that's funnier than the entire episode of She-Hulk.
Yeah, I would rather just go, you know what? There's a bunch of people in our audience who love that show, and instead of me throwing a party and saying come in and where all I do is rain on their parade, you know what? It didn't work for me, but it works for you, and I don't want to. What's the thing? Mellow your butt.
Harsh your mellow.
Whatever the terminology is, I don't want to do that. So it's like, that's why we decided to take a pass on it. All right, what's next?
All right, from J Master, we have a $10 super chat.
Thank you,
Star
Jay.
Wars Visions debuted 1 year ago today on Disney Plus.
Oh wow!
What were your guys' favorite episode? Happy 1 year anniversary to Star Wars Visions. I can't wait for season 2 of Visions next year.
Star Wars Visions for me was a mixed bag. This
is my favorite.
I was going to say this is the one.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're going to find a lot of people that don't point to this one being their favorite one. This was great. Although the debut episode was really good too, about the Ronin in the city and in the town.
That was great too.
That was really good. However, had a number of its episodes that were not so interesting and not so good. Yeah, to me it was a mixed bag. But this one, it was the simplest of them. But there's sometimes the KISS method of storytelling is super effective. If you've got a great...
That would be keep it simple, stupid.
Yes. The KISS method is also keep it simple, stupid. So if you have some great archetypes in there and you know how to leverage that, I mean, it was great. I would watch a whole show just about that character. But that's for me. But it's the same one for you?
Yeah. Although I have to say, and it wasn't a great episode, I always wanted to do like a show or a movie about Phil Grindan and the Modal Nodes, the Cantina Band, about their story. Like, you know how you have a musical biopic?
How'd they end up there?
Yeah, how they end up in Tatooine, like the ass end of the universe. And what is their... I mean, I want to see that musical biopic. Maybe that's only a Saturday Night Live sketch, but... So I kind of like the rock band episode.
I think that
people hated it.
That might have been my least favorite one.
I did not like that episode. I love because... Well, the reason I loved it, not just because I've wanted to do a Phil Grindan movie, but there must be rock bands in the Star Wars universe.
You know, either that one or the one about the brother and sister.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was like, okay, I get you're trying to be sort of trippy here, but this is just dumb.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But again, a couple of them were fantastic.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, people have art.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be museums on Coruscant. There's clearly Palpatine goes to those operas, whatever that was. Right. People go.
What is Star Wars version of Les Mis? That's what I want to know. All right, what's next?
All right, let's see. We have Richard K saying, worst fourth movie, Indy 4, Pirates 4, Jaws 4, or Superman 4? There's your answer.
Because you said Indy 4, and I was like, well, there's your answer. And then you got to, what was the last one again? Superman
4.
Superman fights a computer.
That's 3.
Oh, you're right.
Superman
This is
nuclear weapons.
Nuclear Man. Right.
Man.
Well, okay. Since I think Nuclear Man is better than the Richard Pryor one, and I think Jaws 3. No, 4 is the one where Michael Caine, right?
Jaws
okay, I'm gonna go Jaws 4.
There you go.
You know, I think I'm gonna have to go with you because the idea, like this time, it's personal. Like that shark knows who Lorraine Gary is.
It literally is swam across the globe because it's after that family. Why?
Come on, dude.
Because I heard through the shark network that a couple of our shark brethren got blown up by that family.
We talked through sonar.
And I'm going to go hunt them down. Like, what? And I think we read it on the show the other day. Do you remember that Michael Caine quote?
About money, about his taking the job?
Yeah, somebody said like, oh, Jaws was terrible. Jaws 4 was terrible. He said something along the lines of, yes, it was. Or no, he said, I've never watched it. But it paid lovely, and I bought my mother a house with it. So it's like Michael Caine, ladies and gentlemen.
There's this, right. And he's beyond reproach.
He is absolutely beyond reproach. All right, what's next?
All right, from Jay Master, who sends in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Jay Master.
Disney just announced the Disney pre-sale for Encanto, an immersive live-to-film concert experience coming to the Hollywood Bowl November 11th and 12th, with performances from the original Encanto cast and special guests.
I love it. Like we were just talking this morning on the show about how I love going to the Hollywood Bowl for these movies and concert. Like the last one I did, I've gone to many of their Star Wars ones, but the last one I did was Black Panther.
And it was incredible.
Yep. So for those of you who don't know what happens, basically they play the movie on the big screens and then an orchestra or band or musicians are there. So they play the movie with the dialogue and everything, but they remove the soundtrack out of the movie. And then the orchestra or band or the musicians play the music. And so they had all the original, first of all, they had the LA Philharmonic, I believe, and then they had all the original studio musicians.
With all the interesting African instruments.
With all those cool, like that, doodle-doo, like
it
that.
Was so good.
It was so much fun. I remember we went and saw like a Beauty and the Beast there and stuff like that. Encanto would be a great one to do.
Yeah, that would be a great one to do.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, what's next?
All right, from Joshua McGregor, who sends in a $10 super chat. Not seeing a lot of my favorite movie channels review Woman King. Audiences are loving it, and so am I. Have any of you seen it? And what are your thoughts? Bring on the filthy.
I haven't seen it.
For me, Woman King is very similar to what happened with Barbarian. I had a couple of invitations. By the way, I made the conscious... Okay, so some of you guys know that about a month or so ago, or a little bit longer than that, I had requested to be taken off of Disney's media list. For my own reasons, but I requested to no longer be on their media list. And I made a decision that I think I'm no longer going to go to any advanced screenings. I don't think I'm going to go to them anymore. I'll talk about that another time. But I was invited to a couple of Woman King screenings, but it was the same situation like Barbarian. Like both times I was busy. I could not go. And then this past weekend for me was a packed weekend. So we couldn't go. And so I still have not seen it, but Ann and I are both dying to see it. I've been dying to see it ever since CinemaCon when they showed us a bunch of it. So I'm going to hope to get out to see it this week sometime.
Yeah, I mean, it looks incredible. And Taylor, you saw it, right?
Yeah, I saw it in Dolby and it was insane. It is like so intense and I had to pee so bad. I could not get out of my seat. I couldn't dare to take my eyes off.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to has absolutely loved it.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, from Murray Reich. I don't know what's worse. Watching the latest episode of this week's She-Hulk, god awful, or watching the Browns or Cowboys game.
By the way, I asked our fans for somebody to do this, and somebody did it. I asked our fans because I love hating the Dallas Cowboys.
Me too.
And I said somebody should do a graphic that takes Jerryland or the Dallas Cowboy Stadium and have Nicole Kidman going, somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this. And somebody made it and sent it to me. I got to share it online. It was absolutely fantastic. Browns, listen, I said before, I'll say again, you guys made a mistake. Baker Mayfield had helped make you guys more successful in the last couple of years than you've been in a long, long time. Yeah, I just think they made a mistake, but yeah. See, and that's the thing about She-Hulk. I did not hate the episode of She-Hulk. I didn't find anything particularly offensively bad about it. It's just that it was not funny. And I need a comedy to be funny. So, and there she is again. All right, what's next?
All right, so we have a 3-parter from J Master. Part 1 is $20. Part 2 and Part 3 are both $10.
Oh, so thank you, J Master,
for that support.
Thank you so much.
1 of 3. Olivia Wilde was last night on with Stephen Colbert and asked if she fired Shia LaBeouf from Don't Worry, Darling. She replied by saying Shia didn't want the movie to go in a completely different direction. 2 of 2. I guess this is 2 of 3. Also, Colbert asked about the rumor feud between her and Florence Pugh. Wilde replied she has complete respect for Florence Pugh and she is busy doing Dune 2. Part 3. Finally, Colbert asked Olivia Wilde about the video that came out of Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine. Olivia Wilde...
Spitting on Chris Pine.
What did I say?
Fitting.
Oops, sorry. Spitting on Chris Pine. Olivia Wilde replied, Harry didn't spit on Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know about that you know, Chris Pine's agent came out and said Harry Styles did not spit on Chris. Okay, but it kind of looked like it, but I totally believe him that he did.
Right.
Totally believe that he did, because that would seem like a really dumb thing to do.
You should really watch that interview.
Right.
It's very interesting.
But now, if she said that, Shia and her wanted different things for the movie, that's the third version of this story she's given.
Yeah.
Because that's not what she said before. And now it's this. So look, whatever. It
Stuff happens on movies.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but this is the third different version of that same story. As far as the Florence Pugh thing goes, I don't really care. I don't care if they like each other or don't like each other. To me, it's completely irrelevant. All I know is that every time we have seen Olivia Wilde, remember at CinemaCon when she was on stage, or here, all she does is speak glowingly about Florence Pugh.
Yep.
And even if they hate each other, that to me impresses me more about her as a director, saying, look, I'm going to be professional. And if they don't get along, the fact she goes, I'm still going to say nothing but good things about Florence Pugh. And she gets up there and says nothing but positive things about her. I respect that a lot.
I do too.
I do. And, you know, and if Florence Pugh doesn't like Olivia Wilde, kudos to her for not getting on Twitter. Let me tell you about why I don't like Olivia Wilde. No, she's just like, you know what? No, I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to go do Dune. I'll show up at Venice for our premiere. I'll do whatever. But, you know, if they don't, and I'm saying if they don't, then good on them both for being professional about it and keeping it above board.
Agreed.
All right, what's next?
Future Millionaire says, shut up and take my money.
Okay.
I wonder if that's about anything in particular that we were talking about, but thank you. I appreciate that, Future Millionaire.
Maybe he's talking about a movie coming out.
Maybe. I hope so. All right, what's next?
Richard K says, what are your thoughts on the show Nikita with Maggie Q?
Oh, I used to like it.
I did too.
Actually, a buddy of mine was a recurring extra. He never had a speaking role.
Right.
He was a recurring extra as a henchman for several different bad guys, but he had that kind of look to him.
I would watch Maggie Q in anything, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you the story about going to see her in Priest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when I ended up sitting right beside her in Priest, yeah, that was a good day. I'll count that as one of my favorite days of my career, sitting beside Maggie Q. All right, what's next?
I would just like to give a shout out to Timothy Webster, who just gifted 20 John Campea memberships.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm looking on the thing right now. It's like new member. It's like somebody just gifted some memberships. Timothy, thank you, man. That's
very
incredibly
nice.
generous of you.
Very kind of you
for giving that to your fellow viewers. Thank you so much for that, dude. That's awesome of you. All right. What do we got next?
All right. It doesn't tell me a timestamp. I think this might have been the last question of the John Campea Show from Dad Jokes about The Fifth Element, Blade Runner, and Jay Dredd. Did we do that one as the last question?
I don't recall that.
I don't know. We can do it again.
Okay. So Dad Jokes says, The Fifth Element, Blade Runner, and Jay Dredd all utilize a gritty metropolitan future. Is there a term for this style? What other movies use this theme?
Well, I would say urban dystopia.
Yeah, like dystopia. Future dystopia. Also, some even though it's not quite accurate, some people would reference that as a sort of post-apocalyptic kind of world.
Yeah, I mean,
but a future dystopia is probably the right.
A lot of movies, even Ready Player One, when everybody's living in those stacked, there's I think a lot of futuristic movies. Children of Men is kind of that way, and a grungy London. I think a lot of movies, massive urban sprawl and decay is a constant theme in dystopian, the fall of civilization over, you look at, there's an old Charlton Heston movie called Soylent Green. which does the same thing where you've got
people.
Yeah, huge groups of people in New York City that are being moved by garbage trucks and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
All right, is that it?
That looks like that's it.
All right, guys. Well, then that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, guys, don't forget, no Open Mic tomorrow because tomorrow will be our Rings of Power after show. We hope you guys will join us. Make sure you come and join us for the John Campea Show in the morning. It'll be myself. No, not myself.
You're not
here. There. I'm not there on the John Campea Show tomorrow. It's the non-Campea Show. As Chris Carr once said, it's going to be Chris Carr, Amy, and Rob. I will be sitting in, though, on the Rings of Power after show. And guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you take a second, go down and click on that subscribe button. Click the thumbs up button for this. Just support us any way you can. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about today. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so much for that support. And a big shout out again to Timothy for gifting all those memberships.
That was very nice.
That was very nice of you. So, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, thanks for being here. Rob, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett. Find me on Twitter at Burnett RM, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Post Geek Singularity.
And you guys can follow me on Instagram, simply at John Campea. All right, special thanks to Taylor behind the board there, filling in for Jonathan. And again, thank you to all of you guys for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.